we're going to bring you the build-up to Manchester United versus Chelsea, which could be the highlight game of the weekend. But with the Premier League at the moment, every game is a highlight unless you're West Brom and Burnley. Anyway, we can't wait for this one. Well, as a United fan, I don't know what to expect. But last season, Solskjaer beat Lampard 3 out of the 4 times they met, twice in the Premier League, 1 in the League Cup, and of course they met in the FA Cup semi-finals. Where do we go? Because, I mean, let's start off with you, Joe. Chelsea, Man United, 2 teams, they were pretty much on the same wavelength last season, and United pipped them 2-3rd, even though they were on the same points in the final day of last season. Chelsea made a lot of transfers. United kind of did very last-minute panic buying. You'd think, in terms of the preview of the new season, Chelsea will go ahead, but it's all about being consistent, and both teams are not consistent.
Yeah, it's one of those fixtures. First off, start by saying it's one of those fixtures that it's guaranteed drama, passion, goals, excitement, cards. It's guaranteed the whole lot. Now I picked it up. It's probably going to end up 0-0. But anyway,
hope not.
Yeah, it's strange. Sorry, what did you say again, Jamie? It's inconsistency,
I was just saying,
didn't you?
Yeah, I was just saying both have been inconsistent.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Just to come in on that, the last time it finished 0-0, 2 Dutch people were in charge, Hiddink and Van Gaal.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
But yeah, Chelsea. I think the thing with Chelsea is they've got so many new players that are just bedding in, and there's going to be that little period where they're just working everything out and getting used to the system and settling down. I think they'll settle off in a couple of weeks or possibly. Manchester United have been nothing disrespectful to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or the club. Obviously, I'm a Liverpool fan, but this is looking as an unbiased point of view. They've been inconsistent throughout for a couple of seasons. I think the big problem with United is they didn't back Holly in the summer, and I don't think Edison Cavani is enough of a transfer. Free transfer, 33 years of age, on a free transfer, 200 and something £1,000 a week. Typical. That's a standard signing for Manchester United in this new era, post-Ferguson, where you going for players that are over the hill because you can't get anyone in because Edwards can't negotiate a deal. He couldn't negotiate a piss up in a drawing, let's be honest for you. And
it's a good way of putting it.
It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to depend because Frank Lampard is coming to Chelsea and he's not had the best records against Manchester United and Solskjaer. And he seems to have this attitude about him at the moment, where he is giving it the big I am on the touchline. He's had a go at Klopp, he's had a go at Mourinho in recent games.
Stay in your lane, Lampard.
It's the pressure. Is pressure starting to toll on Lampard? He knows he spent over £200 million in the summer. Okay, that money, some of it's been come from the Hazard money last summer. But he's got to win something this season, or at least be challenging for something this season.
Yeah.
I know they got to the FA Cup final last year, but they didn't really show up in the final, let's be honest. Manchester United, they've got some good result last weekend against Newcastle United, and they might get a bit of form together. Obviously, it depends on what happens with Maguire and Bailly, who are set to be out for the PSG game as we record this video. It's going to be a pretty even game. I just wouldn't be surprised if just got draw written all over it, to be honest.
Luke, it's funny because I think Joe's absolutely spot on in terms of, both managers, I think, could be under real pressure this season because this is their second full season for both managers. They're in the same pretty much time length of what they've had at their clubs. When you look at the fact that Chelsea have spent so much more money and they've had all summer to get those players, and they've done it spot on in terms of strengthening that team to do better than fourth. So, for Lampard, he's got to start getting the wins now because they've already slipped up at least twice. Let's not forget the last-minute goal from Southampton the other day, and they could have lost to West Brom, but amazingly they came back from that.
Yeah, I think with Chelsea, I think they spent too much money. If you know what I mean.
I think it's too many players in one window.
Yeah, I think they've bought too many players in. I thought it's odd because Chelsea had a lot of money on that attack, but their attack was quite good, like last year. And I was like, well, if they get a better goalkeeper and like a top class defender and a left back, then like you'd be thinking, yeah, pretty good. They got Chilwell. I thought they've overpaid for him at 50 million. He's not a 50 million pound fullback, but that's the going rate now. If you look at Wan-Bissaka goes to United for 50 million,
Yeah.
Kyle Walker goes to City for around 50 million. So that's like the going rate for English fullbacks at the moment.
Yeah.
They bought Mendy from Rennes. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say that I've watched highlights of him. Is he gonna be okay? Is he gonna be rubbish? Well, I can tell you, he's out injured. He did his calf and I think he did his style something in international duty. So apparently he can be out for a while, which ain't great because you brought him in to replace Kepa, and now you've got Kepa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
They're stuck with him again.
But that defense is like, all right, like they bought Malang Sarr from Nice for free, which I thought was a great signing.
Yeah.
I thought other clubs should have gone in for him. I thought Liverpool should have gone in for him. And then they bought a 36-year-old Thiago Silva, which I thought, if you buy Thiago Silva and then buy another top quality defender next to him, great. But the fact that Chelsea have bought him in to be like their Van Dijk, like the linchpin of that defence, I thought is really risky. Because the Chelsea centre-backs have not looked convincing. Like Lampard tried to get Rudiger out the door in the summer. I think he was trying to get him off to Spurs or something like that. Christensen looks great in a back three, doesn't look good in the back two. Zuma just gives me
he's not great.
yeah, like he's average. I thought Tomori is probably one of the better centre halves, but like last season, he played. I thought he played well against Liverpool last year when they lost 2-1 at home. But like he barely played the second half of the season. Don't know whether or not he got injured or unfancied. So yeah, again, it's going to be another. It's not going to look great defensively, and like the shield in front ain't that much better either. Like Jorginho is not a great defensive midfielder, and if Chelsea fans think they're going to get the old N'Golo Kante, the one they got when they first bought him, or the one that was at Leicester, I think they're going to be highly mistaken because now he's hitting the 30s. He got injured quite a lot last year, and you can't rely on that midfield to operate on N'Golo Kante to stay fit. So it'll be very interesting for Chelsea.
Seb, I feel like with Chelsea though, it's the pieces are maybe starting to fit for them in a way, in a kind of like baby steps with some of their new players. You know, Timo Werner got himself a couple of goals on the weekend. He looks up for it in my eyes in the Premier League. Kai Havertz has done well, I think, in his last couple of games as well. So it's starting to slowly fit for Chelsea. While United have still got a couple of players, at least from the transfer window, they haven't even started yet. So that doesn't help them in the slightest.
Well, you've got to say, no matter what, Chelsea have bought better than United. I think it's just great bringing in Werner. I think any top club could have had
Cheap
Werner
deal as well.
Doubt. Yeah. And what I like is, do you know the last time Chelsea won against United in the league? Do you know who scored?
I can't remember.
It's Morata. They sold
really?
for 65 million euros, and then at the same time they bought in Werner for 55 million. That's great business. That's just perfect
Great
business. Now, it is, no matter what. And I don't think I don't think Tammy Abraham is up to the level.
No.
I think they were great going forward, and I think the additions are just great. It's just tantalising to see it. But Christensen, Zuma, and Rudiger, when people are saying that Rudiger is one of the best defenders they had, I think that's saying a lot. Because even a Paul Swiss attack made Rudiger look bang average. He's just so woeful. And one big problem I've actually got is Jorginho. He's great on the ball, and Chelsea are lacking so much when Jorginho is not playing. For instance, West Brom, they had Kovacic and Kante. West Brom would push them into the midfield, and Kante and Kovacic would just lose it with bad passes. Jorginho is great at passing, but then you aim for Jorginho defensively because he can just be so poor. In the games against United, Jorginho has typically been very passive. You can just go right through him, and that'll be a weak point. what I'm looking forward to is that there should be goals in this. Both teams can't defend for their lives. I'm also very concerned about Chelsea. So many individual mistakes. I thought to myself, Lampard, you can probably blame him because they not getting results. But when it's constantly personal mistakes like that, individual mistakes, can you really blame him? And I thought maybe yes, but then when there are so many, then he's got to take the blame because
The thing is,
surely
right,
they're not working on pressure in training. They must be passing about a bit, but no pressure on each other when they're trying to train. So when you see Kurt Zoom making a pass like that at the weekend, it's because he's not used to having pressure on him and making those passes. It's the same for Thiago Silva when he did it against West Brom. These mistakes are happening because they're not training well enough these situations.
Yeah.
I think it's because Frank Lampard doesn't have a centre-half pairing that he actually trusts. He's chopping and changing.
I mean, how can you trust any of them? Let's be honest.
But the thing is,
couldn't.
like his centre-half partnership at Crystal Palace was Thiago Silva and Zuma, and that's probably going to be the number one pairing for Chelsea this season. But are you Chelsea fans are moaning at Liverpool saying, like, oh, Van Dijk's out, like you're not going to be good. But like Chelsea's defenders are no better than the ones Liverpool have now got. So like they're just going to be as a shambles defensively, and Lampard's probably the most, like, out of the top six, he's the manager under the most pressure because Roman does not mess around, and if he sees these investments going down the pan, he'll have no hesitation pulling that trigger. I don't care what Chelsea fans say. No, he's going to keep Lampard in. He's going to break the cycle. He's not going to sack the manager. When Roman puts money in, he doesn't mess around.
Yeah,
and plus there's
he wants what he gets.
And plus there's a guy called Mauricio Pochettino who's out of a job. And the top clubs, if they sack a manager, must be looking at him going, like, we could bring him in.
But there's one key in this match, and Chelsea, I feel like they fare well sometimes when teams don't play an attacking midfielder. Say except for Southampton, but Bruno Fernandes will be the key to this whole game. If he can get in between,
and he was against
Newcastle. He was against Newcastle, but he is just generally. If he can get in between Kante and that back line, then they're gonna get goals. Man United will score. I'm almost certain that Chelsea will as well, because with Havertz, Werner, Mount, even if Ziyech finds his form,
I think Ziyech will play.
But Ziyech was poor against Southampton. He looked very.
I think Chelsea fans are expecting, once everyone's fit, that front four to be Ziyech on the right, Havertz in the middle, Pulisic on the left, than Werner on up front. But I don't think Chelsea fans fail to forget that Mount is Lampard's favourite player, so Mount's getting to that team.
But then there's also a big problem. Shouldn't he play three at the back? Because Chelsea clearly can't defend. So if you put three at the back, then maybe they're a bit more solid. Because then you're just sacrificing the forward player. I feel like this is a bigger dilemma than we're making it. Everyone was just thinking, oh, maybe he has to play Werner instead of Abraham. But maybe he has to change the system completely, because this is not working.
I think I will mention as well, we'll talk about United, because last weekend, Juan Mata started, and I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch. And this is a man, of course, as we know, doesn't always start. He rarely starts for Man United. And when it comes to the League Cup this season, he's been man of the match for both League Cup games. And he started this weekend for the first time this season in the Prem, and look what he did. One of the best players on the pitch. I would like to see Mata against Chelsea for a full 90 minutes this weekend. Of course, while we record this, we've got PSG United still to take place, so it depends who starts in that game, I guess. But I don't know about you, Seb, but I think Mata could be a difference as well. And Donny van de Beek, I just think for once they should start him instead of Paul Pogba.
Yeah, no, definitely, because Pogba's been way out of form, and he's not bringing much to that midfield. He's not even creating as much as he can. It's mad that Van de Beek doesn't start, because Van de Beek will be one who opens up those spaces when Fernandes isn't playing well. And I'm still not convinced. I mean, Mata was, without doubt, one of United's better players, but this is against Newcastle. Newcastle, who have a tendency under Bruce to just let games go through their hands. I mean, it was good for Mata, but I wouldn't take Newcastle as a reference from that one.
No.
I would like to see him score against Chelsea, just to...
He has done it before.
to prove what they sold, because they shouldn't have sold him when they did.
Yeah. Even though he won, I think it was 2 years in a row he was their player of the season or something like that, I think, as well, when they sold him. So
I think the season when Chelsea won the Europa League, I think he had like 19 goals and 35 assists.
Jesus. Juan Mata, what a player. I'll tell you what, let's start with predictions. Joe, who do you think's going to win? You said it might be a draw?
Yeah, I think it will draw. It's a game, obviously, as it's been said on here, that both teams got errors, both error prone, but they both got the ability to score goals. But very weak defensively. I think the game's going to be won or lost in the middle of the park. But personally, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Seb, very quickly, who do you think's going to win or draw?
Oh, we've got to take into account this Champions League this week. And so Man United is starting to get a few injuries. That given, I think Chelsea have got a deeper front line. Because, for instance, Havertz plays Wednesday, then maybe Ziyech plays Saturday. So I think for that reason alone, I think it's going to be 5-3 or something silly like that to Chelsea.
Oh, God. Not a novel one.
I really do. I really do. I think it will. I've got a feeling that it's going to be a high-scoring win or maybe even a draw. But I'm just going to say, for the sake of it, 5-2 to Chelsea.
Oh God, Luke, what are you going for?
I'm going to go United win.
Oh,
right. It's just because United have the better defense. And plus, many people are expecting Ollie to get sacked in this run of games. And it's usually when you think he's down and out, he pulls out a few results in the bag. Lampard has only beaten Ollie once, but has beaten him the other times when it's mattered in the league and in the Carabao Cup. I don't know how, but I just think United are just going to grind it.
Chelsea haven't conceded many. Chelsea have conceded goals while not being able to defend in their own box, not on the counter like United are very accustomed to scoring. Chelsea aren't going to play as high as, say, for instance, Southampton or Brighton do. So I don't know when United are going to get all those goals from. That's just the reason.
I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Chelsea,
I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it'll be like a 1.
Yeah, but 2-1. My point is Chelsea are conceding goals because they're just not awake in the box, and United actually can't keep possession around the opposing boxes. So I don't know how they're going to get that many goals, except for maybe a penalty. But I don't see them scoring that many.